welcome to the Deep Dive.
Great to be here.
We're jumping straight into something pretty interesting happening in podcasting.
Yeah, Spotify's announcement about play count.
Exactly. Their announcement and then, well, the quick change that came right after.
It's definitely a peek into how, success is measured or debated in this space.
Totally. We're working off a TechCrunch piece from May 16th, 2025.
Okay.
And our mission today, basically, understand why Spotify did this first, why podcasters reacted so strongly, and what this compromise they've reached actually looks like.
And what it all means, yeah. For creators and listeners trying to find new stuff.
Right. So let's start with Spotify's original thinking. Why show play counts publicly?
Well, the article suggests their rationale was pretty straightforward. Use popularity to attract new fans. The idea being if you see a show has loads of plays, you might think, oh, this must be good, and give it a try. Social proof, basically.
Okay, like seeing a queue outside a restaurant. Makes sense. But the article makes it clear podcasters weren't exactly thrilled. What was the main pushback?
The big worry, and it came through loud and clear, was that it would just make the big players bigger.
Okay.
The fear was that listeners would naturally gravitate towards shows with huge numbers, and smaller, maybe niche, but really high-quality shows could get lost.
Right. Harder for them to break through.
Exactly. And it's not just about the number itself looking impressive. It's about, recommendation algorithms potentially boosting those already popular shows even more.
Yeah, burying the smaller ones further down.
Precisely. It sort of risks creating this feedback loop.
And the article mentioned, didn't it, how podcasting always felt a bit different from, say, YouTube, where view counts are just huge. Podcasting seemed like a space where good content could find an audience more organically, maybe?
That's exactly the sentiment. It's traditionally been seen as maybe a more level playing field in that respect. Less about the raw numbers being front and center.
So Spotify listened to this feedback.
It seems like they did, yeah. The article talks about their revised plan. So what's the new approach?
Well, they've definitely shifted. Now they're saying public play counts will only show up if a podcast has hit at least 50,000 plays.
Okay, a threshold.
Right. And even then, it won't be the exact number. They're going for milestones.
Milestones? Like what?
Like, 100,000 plays, 1 million plays, that kind of thing.
Got it. So less granular?
Yeah. And this change, the article says, should be rolling out pretty much now, this week, the week of May 19th.
So quite a quick turnaround from the initial idea to the modification.
Seems so.
It's interesting when you think about the history here, too.
How so?
Well, as the article notes, podcast platforms historically haven't really focused on public audience size metrics.
Right, like Albert Podcasts. You see charts, reviews maybe.
Exactly, but not a specific play count visible to everyone. You never really knew if a show had, say, 5,000 listeners or 5 million. There was this kind of ambiguity.
And apparently a lot of creators actually like that.
Yeah, the article suggests many valued that difference. They saw podcasting as a space not driven purely by those big visible metrics you see elsewhere online.
It wasn't just about the numbers game.
Precisely. It allowed focus perhaps more on the content and community connection, less on chasing huge public-facing counts.
That makes sense. It underlines that tension, doesn't it? Between platform goals, maybe wanting clearer signals of popularity, and creator concerns about fairness and discoverability.
Definitely. But this whole debate about showing numbers also kind of highlights another big issue.
Which is?
What even is a play?
Yes. The article touches on that too. The inconsistency.
Huge frustration for podcasters. There's no single universally accepted standard for what counts as a play or a stream.
So Spotify might count it one way?
And YouTube another, Apple another. It makes comparing things really difficult.
Which must be tricky for advertisers too, right?
Absolutely. And the article mentions the Interactive Advertising Bureau, the IAB. They're involved in this, aren't they?
Yeah. Apparently they're trying to establish a clearer, more standardized metric.
Right. Trying to get everyone on the same page, especially so advertisers know what they're paying for. Consistency is key for them.
But even with the IAB trying, the article points out that Spotify and YouTube, well, their definitions don't quite align with the IAB standard.
Reportedly, yeah. Their ways of counting might differ from what the IAB recommends for, say, ad buying.
So the definitions are still a bit murky.
It seems so. The IAB often focuses on things like ensuring someone listened for a certain minimum time before it counts as a proper download or stream for ad purposes.
Okay.
But Spotify's definition for this public play count metric seems different.
How does Spotify define it then for this purpose?
According to the piece, Spotify counts a player when people actively tried the content.
Actively tried. What does that mean exactly?
Well, they contrast it with streams and downloads, which apparently only count after 60 seconds of listening.
Yeah.
So this public play count, it sounds more like an initial click, someone pressing play, even if they only listen for a few seconds.
So more like initial curiosity than actual sustained engagement.
That seems to be the implication, yeah. Actively tried suggests intent to listen, but maybe not follow through for the full minute required for their other metrics.
Interesting distinction. Okay, so let's try and wrap this up. We started with Spotify wanting to show play counts to boost popular shows.
Right, the social proof idea.
Then came the pushback from creators worried about smaller shows getting squeezed out, about losing that, more level playing field feel of podcasting.
Concerns about discoverability and fairness.
And Spotify's response was this compromise. Milestones, not exact counts, and only for shows over a certain threshold, 50,000 plays.
Exactly. It really shows how dynamic this space is. Platforms experiment, creators react, things evolve.
That tension between the platform's view and the creator's needs is definitely ongoing.
No doubt. We'll probably see more adjustments like this down the line.
So thinking about you, the listener, as you're scrolling through Spotify or wherever you find podcasts, it's worth considering, isn't it?
What specifically?
How much might seeing these milestones, 100K plays, 1M plays, actually influence your choice?
Yeah. Does that badge make you more likely to click? Or less, maybe?
Or does it not matter compared to other things? Like what else makes you hit play? For recommendation, the description, the cover art.
It's a good question. What signals quality or interest to you beyond just the numbers? Something to mull over as this whole landscape continues to shift.